Welcome back to Vintage Films. George here, and today I thought it was high time that we did a sword and sandals high fantasy type adventure film. And so the one I chose is a movie that I think is one of the best of this genre from this time, and it is Jason and the Argonauts from 1963, directed by Don Chaffee. Now, another notable thing about this movie that I like is that the effects were done by Ray Harryhausen. And if you've seen some of my other videos here on this channel, you probably know that I'm a big fan of Ray Harryhausen. He was an effects wizard of his day. He specialized in the stop-go animation, and I'm a big fan of that stuff. So I'm really excited to talk about this movie because it is, in my opinion, one of the best movies that Harryhausen did. So a little bit about the plot. It has to do with Greek mythology, and so you have the gods on Mount Olympus. You got Zeus and you got Hera, and they're looking down on Earth, and they're kind of doing things to manipulate what the people are doing. And so we have our main character is Jason, and he's like a heir to the land that he should be inheriting to rule, but there was an evil guy that took over the land from his father. So Jason's going to come back in, and he's going to do what he needs to do to usurp this guy and get his land back. But to do that, he decides to go on a quest, and the quest is for the Golden Fleece. And the Golden Fleece is like a magical item that whoever gets it will have great health, and their land will have prosperity, and it's highly guarded. And the other thing is it's on the other side of the known world. So he has to go on a journey and get this golden fleece, bring it back to his land, so his land can prosper, and the guy that usurped his father can go away, and he can rule and be a great king. And that's kind of the idea. So he gets this ragtag group of really tough guys, and one of them is Hercules. And they go on to this ship called the Argo, and it's named after the man that built it, Argus. And the Argo is this neat sailing ship, but also it is powered by men rowing the boat, and they got to row out into the sea and find these different lands and have this adventure before they get to the place where the Golden Fleece is. And so they have to go from different set piece to set piece to set piece in order to get to the goal that they want to get to. So each time they get to one of these set pieces, some new crazy threat that they have to deal with crops up. And that's where I think a lot of the fun parts of this movie is when they're going from different area to area to fight these different monsters and things like that in order to fulfill their quest. And that's really cool stuff to talk about. So one of the first islands they go to, they end up there because they need food and water, and they find this big bronze statue of a Titan. And they're warned not to take anything from this island but food and water. But of course, one of them, actually it's Hercules, decides that he's going to break into this vault and steal a piece of riches that he finds. And that wakes up this Titan bronze statue. And so that's one of the first monsters they have to face. And it's this big colossus kind of deal. And it attacks him and grabs the Argo and shakes him around. And there's some neat fighting going on, some neat effects where Harryhausen has this big massive creature and it's attacking the men and their little ship, and that's one of the first kind of thrilling moments we get from the film. And then there's another sequence a little bit later on where they are guided to this other area, this other island, where there's a person there that's going to give them some kind of idea of where they need to go to next. And he's this blind guy, but he has this wisdom and this knowledge of where they need to go. But he's being attacked by these harpies. And these are like bat-like creatures that are flapping around, and he's trying to eat, and these harpies will come and take his food. So Jason and the Argonauts have to go on to this land and help this guy defeat these harpies so they can get the next kind of key to their quest. And it's on and on and on like that. And that's one thing I like about this film a lot, is the structure of how it is built. Because, again, we're putting these characters on a journey. And so they're starting in one thing. They have this one little adventure piece. Then they go into this next thing, and they have another little adventure piece. And so when they get done with the harpies, they end up in this other area where the Argo has to go through this channel, and there's these cliffs, and the gods are making it shake and quake and things are falling, and Poseidon has to come up out of the water and hold the cliffs back for them to go through. And there's just so many really neat moments like that in this film. I think if you were to watch it today, it holds up pretty well. Again, we're using stop-go animation, we're using those kinds of techniques here, but those things are timeless to me, they're seamless to me. Yeah, we're used to CGI today, so like today if you were going to do the harpies, you would have computer-generated harpies, and they would probably have, really good detail to them, and they would, look somewhat realistic, but at the same time you would also be able to tell that there was something that wasn't physically real about it. Where when you have these stop-go animation films like this and you see the harpies flying around, there's a physicalness to it because it was a doll that Harryhausen moved the arms and legs and the wings one little bit at a time to make the motion. And I just think there's something nice to be said about that because, in my opinion, that adds something to the experience that you wouldn't get from our modern CGI stuff that we see now. Again, going back to the structure, Jason and his group constantly are going on different quests and battling things until they can get to their goal of getting the fleece. And it culminates in what I consider to be one of the really neatest, coolest moments of a classic adventure film. And that's when these skeletons come up out of the ground and attack Jason and his crew. And it's some really interesting, cool imagery of these stop-go animation skeletons sword fighting with real actors. And I got to think that had to be hard to do. That had to be hard to pull off, to have an actor doing his sword fighting like this, and then Harryhausen had to stop-go animate, take this little character, like I got the Punisher here, and move his arm a little bit, take a picture, move his arm a little bit, take a picture, move his arm a little bit, take a picture, and seamlessly put that in with the human actor to make it work. That's fascinating to me. It's just really neat. So I got the clipboard of creeps here. I got a couple of interesting trivia things I wanted to throw your way. So the first one is, it took Ray Harryhausen 4 months to produce the skeleton scene, and that only takes up 3 minutes of the film. So again, going back to what I said, how you had to have the actors seamlessly work with the skeletons, it took them 4 months to animate that, and it only takes up like the climax part of the movie, which is, I think, is pretty interesting. So another thing, again about the skeletons, because to me the skeletons are the highlight of this movie, I think. So the skeleton shields, they are adorned with designs from other Harryhausen creatures. So this includes a large octopus and also the head of the Ymir, which was the 20 million miles to Earth 1957 creature. So if you look at the shields that the skeleton monsters have, they have images from other Harryhausen monsters of other films. I think that's a neat little twist. I did not know that until I did some research for this viewing. Ray Harryhausen actually went on the record later in life to say that he felt that this was probably his best film that he worked on. And I can probably agree with that. I like a lot of Ray Harryhausen stuff. I've seen quite a few. We've covered many here. 20 Million Miles to Earth, Mighty Joe Young, Earth versus the Flying Saucers. Now we're doing Jason and the Argonauts. And Jason and the Argonauts is definitely up here with, I think, on his filmography, because it's great. It's a lot of fun. It's a good movie. It's exciting. It's fast-paced. And there's just a lot of neat action and effects to be had. If you are in the mood at all for that kind of film, something with adventure and the good old-fashioned stop-go animation and just a quest and the sword and sandals fighting, if you have any love for that, I would definitely suggest that you check out Jason and the Argonauts. It's a good watch. Alright, so that is our movie for this week. I appreciate you taking the time to stop by. And until the next time, have a good one.